lives in America. And with that bad news, I hope to bring some context to exactly how big the picture is, number one, and to what we're going through after understanding it at the deepest possible level. I wish to not open any historically traumatizing wounds here, but the way that this thing is plotting out, like, we have to face some shit. We have to face some things, not only as a country, but specifically as a people, when it comes to the fallout from this Amber Geiger case. So, just in case y'all don't know what went on, a young man lived in the same apartment complex as Botham Jean and Amber Geiger, and was called as a witness on the stand, and his testimony helped put Amber Geiger in prison. That's what we know. This young man also stated during his testimony that he was afraid for his life in a certain way, that he was under no illusion that Botham Jean could have been him specifically. That's what he was going through, right? And then, no more than a week later, he's found murdered in his apartment complex. Nobody knows who did what. Very Tupac and Biggie-esque, very hitman, very assassination-like. And he doesn't even live in that same complex anymore. This was a targeted murder. He was intentionally killed. He was not an innocent bystander. The young man is gone. And when I saw this news come across my feed on social media, I immediately began to see the re-traumatization of my folks. This is bringing up something in us known as vicarious historical trauma. In Black America, they are still very, very much present and close to the surface. This is affecting my community the way that lynchings would affect my community, meaning the stark reminder of us at anyone being able to be murdered without consequence is something that cuts deep into our psyche. And we haven't really healed from that, y'all. And when you see somebody get killed after collaborating with the ultimately, legally speaking, successful prosecution of a law enforcement officer, and this is the outcome, you begin to wonder what the long game is. A friend of mine, Michelle, talked about this is chess, not checkers. And I see that being played. This was interesting, right? The very same day, October 6th, right? This is October 6th, Sunday. 3 years ago, I posted it. I posted something in regards to Black life that, you know how like Facebook will like resend you what you used to post and all the responses to it. And it was so crazy, and how ironic that this came back across my feed today. So on October 6th, 2016, I wrote, "Life is worthless here, but you don't plan to leave the country, but you're not really fighting back either. And when you do, your resistance is symbolic, not substantive. Ask yourself, what the fuck are you really doing here? Hashtag get realistic. Life is worthless here, but you don't plan to leave the country, but you're not really fighting back either. And when you do, you resist yourself. What the fuck are you really doing here? What the fuck are we really doing here?" Isn't that a worthwhile question asking ourselves? Like, and if not asking for the sake of ourselves, and certainly for the sake of our children. I always bring it back to that because that's what this is about. By the way, like, follow, and share this message. This is, my YouTube channel that I'm beginning to build up, and it's gaining some steam. How you doing, Lisa Shi? Good to see you. Listen, that what looks to be state violence will go unchecked against question, like that slaves always had. Should I run or should I revolt? Should I fight back? What is the next move for us as a people? This is a power dynamic that we keep on taking the L on. And that's a real question. What do you do? What do you do? Especially when you're not necessarily in a military position to revolt. Because there's a lot of people. Let me just put this out here real fast. There's a lot of social media heads that try to get you riled up and get you revolutionary and get you to clap and get you to freaking shoot and get you to pop guns and get you to, you know what I'm saying? Like, they want you to do the shit. You know what I mean? there's a lot of revolutionary heads that'll take this moment and try to stir you into a fire. Maybe that moment's coming. I'm not saying that it's inherently wrong to do that. Like all corrupt systems, they fall in time. Perhaps a popular revolt will be a part of that. Perhaps a days of an uprising will be part of that. But y'all motherfuckers ain't leading the charge. You see what I'm saying? When you invoke war, when you invoke death, when you invoke destruction, you trying to get me to do the shit? I'm like, nigga, lead by example. You know what I'm saying? That's the hood cat in me. But here's what I'm saying, though. What's most salient to me is that these urges, however, for revolt, for fighting back, are absolutely natural, because here's how power works. Executive power specifically executes within its advantage, meaning if there's a corner of the chessboard that these motherfuckers can strike from, can kill from, if there's a way in which their power has a special advantage in which they can angle it in, and you don't own any mechanisms of the state, you don't have a monopoly on force, you don't have the weapons necessary, that's how they execute. Like, that's just what the nature of power is. How do you respond to that country? Because if you look at the treatment that like the supposed pilgrims endured in Britain and in Catholic run Europe, these conditions that they were living through ain't as bad, and they were willing to get on ratty ass boats for a 3-month journey with really fucked up technology to get out of that situation, right? They were not chattel slaves the way that our ancestors were. Like, they weren't like kept out of every aspect of financial and economic advancement, social advancement. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the way that we were during Jim Crow, there's people who've left their countries for far less than what we've endured. These are facts. And people always, and so every time I bring up leaving, people are like, no, fuck that shit. We built this country. This land is ours. You know what I'm saying? All that stuff. And I would say, okay, Tina Turner could have said, Ike, this whole Ike and Tina Turner review is mine, my power, my energy. These fans are coming for me. I built this shit, right? Also, Tina, Ike whooping your ass. Like, also, your life is in danger. Also, like, yes, you are owed all of this shit. You did help build this, Tina. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, goddamn, we reconnected. And at the same time, you're not safe. At the same time, yes, we built all this stuff in America. Every time I mention leaving, that's what happens. And then I'll be like, but like Tina Turner, you stay in this relationship, you know the outcome. You know the outcome, right? But you ain't making real plans to leave. So are you really fighting back? You know what I'm saying? Like, I watched this documentary called The Black Panthers Vanguard of the Revolution. These motherfuckers was fighting back. They were fighting the fuck back. You see what I'm saying? Are you fighting back? Like, is this something that we are doing, like, as a people? Are you really, really fighting back? Hey, it was cracking Big Johnny. You know what I mean? So are we fighting back? Are we actually making moves to actually take down the system? Because when we make moves, oftentimes in protest, they have a symbolic effect, but they're not necessarily substantive. We have symbolic resistance over substantive resistance. Is that shit working? See what I'm saying? So if we got all these rah-rah revolutionary heads trying to get us to, like, you know what I'm saying, take up violence against the state, but they ain't really doing that shit, and they're not actually like like making moves to actually like be successful in that, you know what I mean? So you trying to round me up to kick somebody's ass. Works. And you look at all my videos, I say violence is never always off the table. You know what I'm saying? And at the same time, there is this thing that happens where, you know, somebody try to get you to take some L's that they ain't really willing to take. These are the questions that we have to choose, and they affect us as such. When a brother like Joshua ends up dying, see what I'm saying? Ruben Baez says, unfortunately, violence has to be the number one language that everyone pays attention to. Hell yeah, that's what happened. What did I think about the judge hugging? I thought that was out of line. Like, I don't remember O.J. Simpson's judge hugging him just because he had a trying time, you know, after killing his white woman. I don't remember the judge walking him off the stand and embracing O.J. That's what I don't remember happening. You see what I'm saying? So we have some interesting questions to ask ourselves as a people. White supremacy we like to address it as a system, right? We know that it has used the executive power of murder to enforce its ends since its beginning. It is always, when you start to win on the white supremacy chessboard, they tip that shit over. That's just what happens. They've always done that. When black in America, via Black Wall Street, via all the economic growth that we were forced to have because of Jim Crow, you know what I'm saying? They was like, well, fuck that shit. Y'all playing by the rules. Now we got to burn this shit down. You see what I'm saying? That's what's always happened. And so since that's going on, I like to look at it as this: white supremacy is an evolutionary pressure. It's more than just a system. It's more than just bad actors. It's more than just a historical trauma pressure. What are we learning from this evolutionary pressure? I repeat, what are we learning from the evolutionary pressure of white supremacy? They always tip over the fucking chessboard when you start playing better chess than them. That's what happens. Here's what's so sad about this, and this is what I don't think white supremacists understand. You're playing a Newtonian game in a quantum world. So let's say you assassinate, let's say you kill. The very level of consciousness that it takes to kill, to assassinate, to actually become a murderer for your supposed power ends up setting you up to perceive the universe a certain way, and therefore you act in a way that backfires over time. They call this principle the blowback principle. Y'all need to look this up. If you look at it, historically, white supremacy has taken some pretty significant L's because of how violent it is. And it never really sees it as such, but the Civil War, huge L for white supremacy. Why? Because the very act of enslaving all of these people created a consciousness in the country of possession, of greed, of wealth, of power, and they were willing to literally lay their sons and daughters' lives down for that. And what would happen if all of those 600 white people lived? What would their population be today? I asked the same thing about World War I and World War II. These were white world. Like, these were white wars. See what I'm saying? So white supremacy wants to play this game. I will kill you in order to maintain my power. Okay, let's fucking try that shit on for size, right? So about 200 million white folks die altogether in the world. Let's say all those men and women live to reproduce. What would your population be now? World War II was a result of conquest. They call them world wars, but they were really European wars because white people ended up exactly conquering the world via force, via the ability to murder, right? Okay, that level of possession, the kind of consciousness. If you talk to anybody who's actually ever taken a life, if you got somebody in your family, you got a homeboy that's actually killed somebody, you know it changes them. As soon as you take a life, it changes you, right? And therefore, it sets you up in a way that you perceive the world and you engage in the world like that of a killer. And when you do that, certain options, certain ideas just never fucking occur to you because you've taken a step, you've crossed a threshold. Okay, white supremacy, you want to murder. Don't be surprised at the blowback. What I'm saying is that, so that's the evolutionary force that white supremacy is undergoing. We're actually forcing it to evolve too. We're forcing white supremacy to evolve too. For example, if you look at the fact that, and you talk to an elder about this, and they'll tell you that this is true, the fact that there is a dissolution of lynch mob culture. If you talk to a black elder, they'll be like, that lynch mob culture shit was something the fuck else. When you could have the whole white community gather around, like, burn the body, cut his balls off, and pass around the crowd. The fact that that's not quite a thing anymore, even though they try to do it, some forced white supremacy to change because we needed to survive. So we applied adaptive pressure on it as well. The question is, who's going to evolve first before many lives are lost? You see what I'm saying? And is this a game that we're willing to stake our children's lives on? These are the real questions that we need to be asked. An adaptation, it is a universal adaptation that's asking us to do certain shit. Are we getting the message as a people? Are we getting a message? We're telling you, man, symbolic resistance is a soft power. It has its place, but is it doing enough? These are the long game questions we need to ask ourselves, right? The fact that we protest, the fact that like folks could demand justice for now Joshua Brown, like they demanded justice. Yo, that's what's up. Yo, appreciate that, Big Johnny. Appreciate that, big homie. Yo, yeah, the super chats are completely enabled right now. So please, thank you, brother. So here's the thing, right? The evolutionary pressure is it works both ways. It simply does, right? The fact that we had to force racism to go covert to begin with means that we're also applying pressure on it. Who's going to win? Are we willing to stake our children's lives in playing this game? What's so interesting to me is that Botham Jean, you know what I'm saying, or Botham Jean, good Negro. He really was. And I'm not saying that he intended to be some kind of idealistic sellout or anything like that. I'm not saying that Botham Jean wanted to be, I'm not saying that he wanted to be, the black guy who gets the pat on the head and the fucking cookie and gold star. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying he just was the good Negro. He was a good brother. You know what I'm saying? With a great singing voice. He was in church all the time. Come on, he was doing exactly what he was supposed to be doing. He was African. He was a St. Lucian immigrant here in America. He was doing what he was supposed to be doing. And this force still got him in his own crib. Think about that shit. There's always an argument from the conservatives that all you have to do is just take advantage of the opportunities that America provides for you, and then you can actually enjoy the American dream. Dude was living it. Good church-going brother. I mean, he had a great job. He had a wonderful life, and it was stolen from him in his own house by a state fucking agent who, when she got convicted, got a hug from a black judge. These are the things that stop black folks from sleeping good at night. These are the things that stop us, right? So our goodness our goodness and our virtue is no guarantee that we won't suffer calamity here in this country. And I look at this, even for black immigrants from other places, the first incidents of murder I ever heard of from a white supremacist agent was of a white supremacist dude. He was an Aryan Nation. He was part of Aryan Brotherhood. He got out of prison and murdered just any brother at a bus stop who happened to be a black man, Omar Jah, an African immigrant from Senegal. I have seen black immigrants, when they come to America, suffered a black ass experience, period. You know what I'm saying? Botham Jean is one of those people, all right? So these are the questions that we have to ask ourselves. But white supremacy, you're paying a price too. When you decide to become a murderer, when you decide to become a killer, when you take the action, when you cross the threshold, violence becomes an addiction. Now, we know that state actors and police forces have these shadow elements, right? These motherfuckers plant evidence, they kill witnesses, they do all kind of shit, right? Okay, fair. Do that, right? My book, The Law of Action, talks about that. My book, The Law of Action, right? I'm doing shameless plugs in this motherfucker, but the book is really good because the first chapter is about the spiritual implications of violence. The spiritual implications of violence are in the very first chapter of The Law of Action. Order that shit on Amazon. Theo E.J. Wilson, Law of Action, Master Key to the Universe that we actually live in. And I talk about in there how when you cross the threshold into violence and it transforms you. I've seen this in my own damn life. Now, I'm not a killer, right? But I'm a fighter. With a dude who was attacking a sister that I know because he was her ex-lover. And he was drunk and but he wasn't stumbling drunk. He was just drunk enough to be an asshole, right? He was getting all in her face. And I made a decision a long time ago. I'm not going to let no woman get abused in my presence. I ended up fucking socking the dude in the neck and kicking him in the stomach into security. And the security knew that I wasn't the one that started it. Then the motherfuckers didn't even touch me. You know what I'm saying? I remember after that, I was like, whoa, I wish a nigga would out here. I remember turning up. After I whooped the dude's ass, I remember oh shit, you know what I'm saying? If you look at the text from Amber Geiger, her mind was militaristic. Her mind, her consciousness was geared into one of a myriad of outcomes and possibilities when it comes to confrontation, right? She was training her mind to be a killer. You know what I'm saying? And she's a woman, so it's I got to be extra aggressive, shoot first, ask questions later, knock these motherfuckers down, you know what I'm saying? Simplify all that military shit, right? When you do that, it comes at a cost. White supremacy has suffered extreme losses, and I might actually have to do a video about will white supremacy ever get its karma? Buffering on and off. Damn, Ruben. Thanks, Ruben. I appreciate that shit, big homie. Listen, I might. All right. So check it out, YouTube family. If I'm buffering and if this is getting real choppy, go ahead and hit your boy at Theo E.J. Wilson on Facebook or theo.wilson.31 at Facebook. So follow me on Facebook. If y'all can't see this, this looks like I'm going to have to rebroadcast this and figure out what the fuck is going on with my internet. So yeah, shit like that. And oh shit, your journey. Have some important info to give and to share about the witness's case. Do you want to do it on this forum? What's up, your this is your journey. What's up? So do you want to do it on this forum, or do you want to inbox me? What's cracking? You let me know how you want to share this shit. You know what I'm saying? Thanks. I appreciate that, Ruben. So white supremacy hasn't gotten its karma after all these years. Surprised white supremacy hasn't gotten its karma after all these years. Actually, it kind of has. And it's actually crossed a major threshold that will stop it from actually being able to redeem itself from this. You see, you got to look at it from the higher level. The highest level, white supremacy actually gets its karma more than you might think. Because what is karma? Karma actually is I believe it's a Hindu word. It's an Indian word that means action. With every action comes an equal and opposite reaction, and not just in the in the external world, but in the internal world. See what I'm saying? I have a YouTube. All right, cool. Andrew Lucius77@gmail.com. All right, that's what's up. Listen, your journey, do what you got to do to, like, you know what I'm saying, share this video out or whatever. Sorry it's buffering weird. Y'all follow me at Facebook, Theo EJ Wilson, and Theo.Wilson.31. I will go live there as well as explain a couple of things to y'all. You know what I mean? But the bottom line is, this is an evolutionary pressure. Trump is president, though. Yeah, and he's shitting the bed every day. Yeah, Trump is president, right? He's not king. He's not the emperor of America, even though he tries to act like that. He's not enjoying his time as president. Even if he gets another term, the dude can't live forever. You see what I'm saying? Like, and history, if you study its tides, has blowback. And the blowback that will come from the Trump presidency and the Republican Party's complicity in participating in the fuckery and the racism of this country will bury it. See what I'm saying? So yeah. All I'm saying is it's very important that y'all understand that is this Andrew, yo. Oh, I got you, Andrew. I finally figured out who this was. Yeah, bro. Listen, man. Here's the thing. Understand that this is an evolutionary pressure. More than anything, what is white supremacy asking us to become when it murders without consequence like that? What is it asking us to become? Who is it asking us to be? And are we willing to respond to the evolutionary pressure that is being put on us in a way that will ensure the lives of our folks? So we can look at this from many angles, but I think this is the bigger question. If you get caught up on the fact that the brother did get murdered on some weird shit, true, that is something to look at. All right, YouTube playing with my connection right now, yo. I'm about to log on off of this, yo, but holla at your boy. Share this video, like, follow, and share. Hit me up on Facebook as I complete this, all right? Peace.